guys, and welcome to another episode of Hard Hats and Hard Roads. Today we're joined by my wonderful co-host and local psychologist, Amanda Unsworth. And today we have Tracy Golnick, an amazing and passionate advocate of men's mental health and the coordinator of Tough Enough to Talk About It. We'll explore the inspiration behind her work, the challenges of tackling stigmas, and how we can all become tough enough to face the hard topics that truly matter. So getting started here, what inspired you to take the role of coordinator for the Tough Enough to Talk About It program?
Oh, I feel like I should have something really inspirational here. I was a hungry single mom with 2 kids and seen a job ad, and my background is in facilitation, program development. It was kind of what I enjoyed, and it was like, I seen this job ads, and I thought to myself, I could probably do that. And then ended up getting hired for the position and realized, man, there's so many people living this. My ex-husband, myself, it really hit close to home, and I kind of stayed. So I was a little hungry and then really passionate about it.
Oh, it sounds like a passion, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. So why do you believe men's mental health needs special attention, particularly in trades, agriculture, and industry?
That could be a loaded question. I think they don't talk about it. Men, it's not as acceptable socially acceptable to talk about mental health as it is for women. A bunch of women can sit around. We can talk about, everything from I couldn't stop crying yesterday to my kids made me angry to I'm sad at work or I'm frustrated or I just don't feel like doing it today. And those conversations become really accepted and the norm.
Yeah.
All the men in my life work in trades and industry in some aspect, including 2 of my daughters. I never witnessed those conversations growing up. I didn't know what mental health was. I thought it was negative until I was probably in university. If we don't talk about mental health problems, we keep them bottled up. We don't share. And I'm not talking about we got to hold hands and sing Kumbaya by any means. What I'm saying is if we're not having those conversations, nobody's making those connections, nobody's accessing supports, and it bottles up. And I think they're not happening and they need to be. And when we look at trades and industry and agriculture, there's a culture in there that doesn't allow for mental health conversations. It's that you're tough, you have to be tough to do this job, and absolutely you do. Mm-hmm. And you have to have that mental fortitude to do it, but it's kind of like that. We pay you really well. We pay you a ton of money to do this tough job. We don't want to hear that you're sad. We're not paying you to be sad. We're paying you to do this job that not everybody wants to do or can do. Yeah. And it shuts those conversations down.
Oh, 100%. They're like, better keep
right?
that
You know
myself.
why I'm such a whiny person on the job site when you're just talking about him having a tough day, and then it shuts all these conversations down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when we look at statistics, in Canada, 75% of our suicides are male, 80% worldwide.
And that's what's reported, right?
Absolutely. Right? So what's going on? Why aren't we having those conversations? And why is it so different in some employment sectors?
The program's been around actually since the late 1990s. That sounds gross to say. That's
back in the 1900s.
Back in the 1990s.
Late 1900s.
Yeah. I asked my daughter the other day, I was like, what year do you have to be born in to be old? And she said, if you were born in 2000. And I was like, dude, you were only born in 2003.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
in the
sad.
90s, I had already graduated by then, Gabe.
Oh.
You're living a full life.
Your full life.
I was working in the field. I was working in mental health then.
Nice. Would you be able to tell us, since it's been around for so long, its origins and how it evolved over the years?
So the Resource Center for Suicide Prevention sat kind of on this committee through Safety Cities in Grand Prairie, looking at injury prevention trends and kind of things like that going on in our city. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, the Alberta Medical Examiner's report was released. And the committee kind of sat around, took a look, and there was people on this committee from Alberta Health Services. Well, at the time, it was probably like Mista High or something like that, Peace Region Health. From PACE, a local trauma family crisis center. There was somebody from suicide prevention. So lots of different sectors represented. And they took a look at this report. And what the report showed was that we were losing men at astronomical numbers, not astronomical, high numbers to suicide. And in the report, it included trades, industry, and agriculture. So it highlighted these three areas in our province, or employment sectors. The farther north we went, the higher those kind of stats got, and nobody was doing anything about it. Nobody was having conversations. Nobody was recognizing why. And then suicide prevention. There was a lady that worked for suicide prevention and said, I think we should probably go into these really tough workplace cultures and talk about suicide and mental health. And I'm pretty sure there was probably a few chuckles around the table. And Barb did. She created a program called Men at Risk. And the program Men at Risk incorporated lived experience through volunteers and went into job sites and companies and oil field companies and trades and into some rural communities and shows and started conversations about mental health.
Wow. That's I can only imagine what it would be like to first be a part of that back in the day, really making the steps to help the community. And
yeah, they were really pioneers.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really grassroots.
100%.
Yeah.
We're the only one in North America doing it. The way that we're doing it, it is such an innovative and amazing program, the way that it was designed. And everybody's like, oh, this is so cool. How come I haven't heard about it? I'm like, oh, it's been around for 20 years, just in the Peace region.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. So what makes this program unique in tackling mental health in traditionally tough environments?
Oh, I don't want to sell the program short because I'm not really sure it's unique. I think it's the same information we share about mental health across the board. I think what makes it stand out, or maybe the innovative part, is the lived experience that we bring from men who have experienced a mental health problem or poor mental health, or they've helped somebody that's maybe had a struggle while working in trades and industry. And so we try to incorporate that in the program. We use some cool pictures, some cool videos, maybe our language is definitely different if I'm talking to a room full of pipeliners versus a room full of, university students or our board. But we found a way to connect with people to get that buy-in. We get that buy-in by having individuals share with us, or not with us, but with the participants, that they've been there. They've been there. They got the T-shirt. They helped. They've learned, and they want to help other people.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that connection piece is I think the really important piece. We always come back to that of mental health is connection. It's connected to yourself, it's connected to your family or your whoever your chosen people are, and connection to your community. And that's the best way to do it. And you're right, the information about suicide is the information. That's not what we have to kind of sit down around the table and talk about. We all know those things. It's how do we get it to the people who can use it and make it meaningful, make it connect.
Well, and it's connection. You look at suicide prevention, it's a pillar of it. How do we build healthy, strong communities? Whether that community is Grand Prairie as a whole, or maybe it's just ConocoPhillips job site, right? Looking at where are we building these communities, how, and do people belong? Do they feel that they belong? It's not that they have to participate. Do they have the opportunity, and can they feel, or do they feel that like they can?
Yeah, they have a meaningful way to do that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So the workshops and seminars offered through the program, how do they help participants build skills to address mental health challenges?
We look at a bit of a first aid kind of example. Because one of the things when we're going into workplaces, often I will get, oh, you're going to teach me to be the social worker at the job site, aren't you? Oh, now everybody's going to come into my office and want to talk about mental health problems. I'm not going to get my work done. And I'm like, no, actually, that's not. If you want to be the social worker, the therapist, you're going to have to go to school a lot more than 90 minutes that we have together. And my counter to that is always, do you have physical first aid? And they say, well, of course we do. We have to have it. And I'm like, okay, so does that make you the medic on the job site? Or do you hire a medic? Are you the doctor? Are you diagnosing people?
Right.
Are you the firefighter, the paramedic? What's your role? Well, I'm a first aider. Okay. So what that means is you have a certain skill set that if you see somebody that needs help, you can provide help while you connect them to appropriate help.
That's right.
That's all we're doing. We're going to show you how to, or hopefully, build your skills in recognizing when a coworker might be struggling, when they might be having a tough time, and you get to ask them how they're doing, and then you connect them to help. You're not fixing it. You're not making it go away.
Yeah.
It's just like if they were having a heart attack, you would recognize it and you'd connect them with help.
That's right.
So if they're having a tough day, you could actually recognize it, make that a little bit better, and connect them with help without being a social worker. And that's my always go-to. Without holding hands and singing, right?
Yes.
And doing all that touchy-feely stuff. It's just about that connection that somebody else is looking, somebody else is watching. And so we incorporate that into 90 minutes. We talk about what mental health is, what do they need to know, kind of what are some behaviors that people might experience, and then what do they do? So they have this little bit of knowledge about, a little bit, right? So, they get this 45 minutes of knowledge of what mental health is, what poor mental health might look like, and then we talk about how do you have those conversations. So if you recognize somebody is having a tough time and you're out on the line, how do you ask that? How do you talk about mental health? How do you have that conversation? Everybody thinks it's a big, scary conversation. It's not.
Yes.
It's, hey, how you doing today? And actually listening. And so we talk about asking somebody how they're doing, listening to what they have to say, and connecting to help. And we can do that in 90 minutes. So we take away that responsibility that if you ask somebody how they're doing and they're like, man, I'm having a crappy day, now they feel like they have to fix it.
Right.
No, that's not your role.
That's right.
Right? Just like if they broke a leg, is it your job to set it, or is it your role to immobilize it and get them to somebody that can?
But it gives them a little script, because I've never met anyone who is like, I never want to help people with mental health. It's that I don't know how. Someone seems sad and I don't know how to build that bridge. And that's a little script of like, here's how you would do it. It's not scary. You're not responsible for anything. And this could be enough help.
And we talk about feelings. So I'm like, dude starts talking about feelings and you're getting uncomfortable and you don't know what to say. You're doing it right. Because I don't know many people that wake up in the morning and they're like, oh, I can't wait to talk about feelings today. I hope somebody has a tough time at work so I could sit in my office and talk about feelings.
Right. Yeah.
Like, no offense, Amanda, maybe for you.
I mean, I get to do it a lot, but
But when we look at trades and industry, those guys aren't going to work to talk about feelings.
Right.
They're going to make their paycheck, pay their mortgage, provide for their family, learn some new skills, share their skills. They're going there with other reasons and talk about feelings. And so it's the same thing. If somebody needs help and you don't know what to say, it's okay to say, I have no idea what to say. Man, you're going through a lot. Thank you for being so brave and sharing. I don't know what to do, but let's figure it out. That's all it is. But I think people need permission. They need to know it's okay to have those conversations, especially in those environments where it's been shunned and squashed and not talked about.
and where a feeling could be a pathology. I always like when I worked in the schools, or I worked in places where they would be like, oh my goodness, this person's dealing with a thing. We better get mental health. And it's like, well, no, people deal with things. Life happens to everyone, and feelings are not pathological. We can have them.
Yeah.
And as long as we have support and connection, we can get through things.
I actually really like the way that you said that, because we were having this conversation earlier about, when people are like, oh, I can't have that conversation. It just brings up bad memories. I'm like, that's healthy. That's a healthy response, right? It's okay to be uncomfortable. In fact, we want to be uncomfortable. That's how we learn. That's how we build to an extent.
Absolutely.
Right? But I think what's happened is we have this environment where it's not okay to have the feels, and it's not okay to be offended by something, and it's not okay to be sad for more than 2 days. But you know what? If I told my daughter, you fail a test and you're sad for 2 days, that's a healthy response. I want you to experience that so that when something happens again, you can work through that and you have the skills. But what we talk about is, when do we step in?
Yes.
Right? So if it's 2 days and they're working through it, that's great. Is it impacting their life? Is it impacting safety concerns, right? Have they changed? Are they different from how they usually are? So are they showing up late? Are they not coming out and having a smoke at smoke break? Are they really quiet in the truck on the way back from the job site, right? Is their work suffering or not doing, are the quality not that great? If we notice those, then maybe that's our opportunity to check in.
Like that reminds me of when I was working in the patch, or like I didn't work in the patch. I worked with the patch, but
It's still in the patch.
It's still in the patch. But yeah, no, that's what's up. The quiet rides on the ride back to site, and like, you know, there's
Where you know something's going on, but you
Yes.
just don't have the vocabulary or the confidence to be like, hey, dude, how you doing, right?
And it was definitely a stigma to even go ahead and ask those questions for that person or to that person, and so we got to get rid of that.
Well, you risk the chance of being ridiculed.
Yes.
So if you're sitting there and then you want to check in and ask your friend, hey, how are you feeling today?
And they're like, why do you care?
Oh, we're just going to go for a beer. Like, oh, stop doing all that girly stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and then it shuts those conversations down. Meanwhile, that person might be having a really tough time. We're not going to know unless we ask.
That's right. Why do you think psychological harm is still often overlooked compared to physical injuries? And how do you address this in your work?
Well, it's because we can't see it.
It's invisible.
Right? Yeah.
invisible.
I can, if you've got a broken leg and I see you struggling with the door, I can walk over there and be like, hey, do you need some help?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, and then we just go and do it. If somebody is having a tough time, we usually kind of overthink it before we ask. We're like, oh, what if they get mad at me? What if I don't know how to help? What if I say the wrong things? And we think of all these things. So then we don't ask. And then we're like, oh, I don't have the training to do it. Only other people can do it.
Yeah.
I don't know Gabe that well, so I'm not going to ask Gabe. Maybe Amanda, she's going to be at work the next day. Can you check in? Or she'll notice eventually. And we kind of put it off because, let's be honest, who likes to be uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
I don't like it, so I'm going to avoid being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so when we look at psychological harm, A, we don't see it, and B, it's not recognized. Your health and safety programs are legislated. It is mandatory to do certain things, have certain programs, and it is structured and laid out for companies. Psychological health and safety, we're just starting those discussions. It's not, there'll be a time where it will become legislation for companies,
Yeah.
whether that's 5 years, 10 years, I don't know, but they're going to get there because they're going to realize they need to have psychologically safe workplaces, and that it just benefits companies, right?
100% it does.
And when we can connect it to their financial outcomes, that's when ball will get rolling, I think.
And there's lots of studies that do. There's
Yes.
lots of Canadian studies that show, for every dollar you invest in psychological health and safety, your bottom line, you're saving $3.25. The problem is those studies aren't in the right hands quite yet. And we're trying, what happens is I think the field goes, we need to have this change right now and nobody wants to do anything. And I'm like, you can't just go in with these programs to a field that they're not even talking about it.
Right.
You got to start those tough conversations and then bring that stuff in, right?
Yeah. That's right.
Well, it's respecting the culture that you're trying to become a part of in any culture, in a workplace culture, any kind of culture. You have to watch, wait, and see first before you.
We don't want to change. We don't want to take it away. We don't want to take away that culture. They're doing, these men and women are doing hard work that not many people want to do. And most of them are getting paid well. But there's also some really unique stressors that they are faced with that are not in other areas. Yeah, it's kind of this whole just intertwined area.
Yeah.
I want to do a check-in with you, though, because I think your brain is making a lot of connections when we talk about this to stuff you've experienced. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. That's okay.
No, it's just reminding me of what it was like in the trades again. And like how awesome this would be if I was working in there still. This would be a really awesome program. And if it would be to keep, if I was at work and I seen this program, I'd feel a lot more confident at work, knowing that my coworkers and my bosses were more connected in the mental health world.
Do you think it would have been changed maybe some of your perception or experience working in trades?
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would probably change a lot of things. And even the vibes between coworkers and everything. If everyone just knew, like no one's going to make fun of me if I have a feeling. Okay, cool.
My feelings are safe.
They're all sitting there going, we have feelings too, but we just don't talk about it.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
the thing. It's like every single person, I'll often get people, oh, who should take Tough Enough? And I'm like, are you breathing? Because if you are breathing,
human.
Yeah. Are
You're
you
human.
part of humans?
and you're impacted by your mental health,
That's
just
right.
like you are your physical health. But we're just so good at ignoring it. That stigma, right? That negative belief that follows and those perceptions that follow mental health. Yeah, they're just.
Or it's not me right now. It's when this is over. In 2 weeks from now, when this thing is over, then I'll be okay. In 3 months, when I've paid off this other thing, then I'm going to feel okay. And so, yeah, I'm not feeling good right now, but it's not a mental health thing. Once this is over. Okay.
But then there's always another thing.
There's going to be,
always
life
another
continues.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say life is shady. Like it just throws stuff at you, and you're constantly having to deal with it. And sometimes we can deal with them, and we're rock stars, and
Sure.
our coping skills kick in, and we do great. And then there's other times where it's like, oh man, I
Yeah.
just need a little bit of help.
Well, and I always think of it's like coaching, like tweaking. Like I can kick a soccer ball. Could I kick a soccer ball better? Yeah, probably. And so mental struggle does not mean mental unwellness. Like mental health is a thing we can constantly be doing so that the next time a thing happens, we deal with it better. Kick the soccer ball further.
Yeah, where I have a cold or I have the flu, and really, if I have the flu, I need rest, I need relaxation, I need
Yeah.
probably some tea, maybe a little hot toddy, whatever you take, right, or whatever you do, and then you get better. But sometimes that flu turns into pneumonia, and then sometimes that pneumonia stays and hangs out and causes problems. Doesn't matter how many hot toddies or how much sleep you're getting, you need
right.
medication. Or you need somebody to help, somebody with other knowledge to get through. Doesn't mean
That's
you're going to
right.
have pneumonia for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's right. It's just a lengthy problem for at the moment that you need to deal with.
Absolutely.
But that it's okay to have those problems. We just got to know how to react and find connectivity to deal with them.
We just need to change a narrative that it's okay to have a crappy day.
Can you share a story where you saw the program make a meaningful difference for someone in the group?
It's hard to narrow it down. It is
yeah.
probably one of the most humbling jobs that I've had in my career. I'm a woman in a man's world, and I'm going into male-dominated industries and trying to get them to talk to their male friends about mental health problems. It's a bit of a challenge.
That's a job.
And what I mean
Welcome
by
to our podcast.
I don't think there's been a single presentation that I have done where somebody has not come up after and talked, shared their story. Most recently, I was at a pipeline facility in northern Alberta, and there was probably about 15 people in the room, in their lunchroom. It was creeping into their lunch hour. And when I start talking into people's lunch hours, I risk that they're going to shut down because here's this social worker talking about
I'm not getting paid to listen to you anymore.
right? Like I want to eat, I need to go get stuff done. And so I wrapped up the presentation and they stayed. And they asked, they're like, can you stay longer so we can talk more? And I went, okay. Now these men and women could have left, gone back to camp, got their lunch, and camp food most of the time is way better than what I pack for lunch. But they chose to stay on site and continue this conversation. And their leadership was in the room. And it was so cool to sit back and watch. The whole reason I had been asked to come in is because the leadership was like, you know what, we've noticed a couple of things. We're not sure how to address it. We're worried. And I was like, okay, well, let's go. And then they stayed. But they kept the conversation going. And I thought, that's what this program does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the conversation going.
I have women come up to me all the time because a lot of women attend because they can't get their husbands to attend. So then they go get the information shared at home, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And they're like, I had no idea. I had no idea what was going on. Now I get it. And I can help advocate, right? Or guys, I had somebody on an evaluation, actually, and I know who it was in the room because they had talked to me and stuff, but they said, I came here looking for answers as to why my brother took his life. And then said, I think I get it now, and I need help. And that was on an evaluation. And you're like, these are big impacts this program is making. It's not just I think it's working.
Right.
We do independent third-party evaluations on our program to make sure that we're still doing it every couple of years. And And the data is all the same. People just want to be told it's okay.
Yes. Yeah, and that's sometimes all you need to hear, just to have that little flick of the switch in the brain to just breathe.
And sometimes we need to hear it 4 or 5 times. We need to see the switch flick quite
Yeah.
a few times.
Yeah.
And then it stays on, right?
That's right. So do you collaborate with other mental health organizations or initiatives in our community? And if so, how has that partnership helped expand your reach?
We try. Oh, man, that sounds bad. We do, but we are such a specific niche that there's no other programs doing what we're doing.
right, yeah.
So the collaboration becomes more about information gathering. Where are gaps? Where are trends? So we developed a first responders version of Tough Enough, piloted it with some volunteer fire departments, go back, it's in the research stages to finish that, right? So we look at those kind of partnerships. We have lots of interest from sports teams, right? We want this for our young guys and our coaches to talk about. And we're like, well, we're not there yet, but maybe that's somewhere we're going to go. So we look at collaboration in those areas and gathering that data. How can we help in the areas, healthcare, first responders, coaches, stuff like that.
Yeah, I never thought about sports teams. That would be a massive impact, especially because a lot of those kids look up to their coaches too. So if they say something like that,
right? And can you imagine the impact on your kids' hockey team if somebody comes in and says it's okay to talk about mental health?
yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
So there's so much potential.
so much potential.
Give them permission when they're young.
Yes.
Build that foundation.
Yeah, but what's cool to hear you talk about too is that it's not the information. Again, what you have to design or tailor or innovate is the how. How do I get in? How do I change the way we're going to connect with this work site compared to how we would connect with a hockey team or a volleyball team or something like that? Like it's how to speak that language and get into those organizations, and it's different. You can't just apply the same thing. Like you couldn't just write it up in a binder and give it to
This.
Yeah, give it to Vancouver.
Yeah.
It's not going to work in Vancouver the same way it works here. It's a different kind of culture.
So we expanded last year. Then, yeah, you mentioned that. And, so we have a train the trainer program, and we oversee other trainers, and we licensed internationally. And we've had this exponential growth in this little program from Grand Prairie. Our big area, Midland, Texas. Yes. So we have 17 facilitators in the U.S., and through New Mexico, Oklahoma, North Dakota, and the majority of them in the Texas region, working in the oil field down there.
Wow.
And we work with other companies too. So, sorry, you had asked about the collaboration. We're the only one doing it the way we're doing it in this space. There are other programs that are doing similar stuff that we partner with. So we're not just the answer. So we look at how are we not duplicating services. So if there's another program in Canada and they're doing it this way, are we duplicating that, or are we feeling a different need? So we do collaborate in that way as well.
How do you think mental health awareness in trades and industry has shifted over the years, and where do you see it going in the future?
Well, I look at our numbers. So the numbers that they would post, back in 1999, where they talked to 46 people. Last year we spoke to 1,700.
Yeah.
Right? So, and we don't promote, we don't advertise, we don't market. Everything is word of mouth. So, that information is getting out there. I'm not going to say many positive things about COVID-19 in my entire life, but I will say what COVID-19 did for Tough Enough was we grew, because everything was shut down. You couldn't do in-person presentations, and we had this little bubble in the Peace Country, and that's where we did our presentations. During the lockdown, we went, how can we still help? Because everybody's still experiencing mental health problems, and now there's no service or very limited services in some areas.
Yeah.
And so we developed a virtual presentation. And this was the challenge. Can we talk to men in their trucks in the oil field about mental health and actually listen? Turns out we can, and we can do it very well. And what happened was Tough Enough went from the Peace region to everybody wanted a piece of it. Yeah. Right? And you're like, oh, we did not plan for this uncontrolled growth and these opportunities. So now we need to take a step back, because we have this beautiful opportunity where everybody's like, how did we not know about you guys? I'm like, well, I just had to hang out in the Peace region where it's at, man. Like that's where all the good things grow in Grand Prairie, right? And so that's how we expanded. So I think those conversations, that awareness, people are more likely to talk about it. People are more likely to look for programs, for information. People are starting to realize, you know what? It's not our equipment that is our best asset. It's our people. And how do we keep our people healthy? How do we retain our people? How do we keep our talent with us instead of our talent going somewhere else? How do we make more money?
Well,
That's the end of it, right?
Got to get our truck serviced. Might as well get our brain serviced too.
Absolutely. Companies have beautiful, great, robust maintenance plans, and they put their trucks and their equipment on programs to make sure the oil change, make sure all the light bulbs or whatever, dash lights or whatever the trucks are working. I drive a car or Jeep, but we don't do that for our staff. But yet our equipment doesn't run without healthy staff, and healthy staff are safe staff. So it's all, like I said before,
It's a trickle-down effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for it's a growing up effect, which I think is really cool. It's that grassroots piece. But even just facilitator training is really cool because those facilitators are going to take it into their communities. Like it's going to spread like a nice little grass fire.
Well, we do it with companies. So it's
Beautiful.
actually
Like
the
HRs.
men
Yes.
teaching the men. Right? I think out of all, so I think right now we have 17 facilitators in the lower 48. So lower 48 U.S. And I'm going to say 3 are female.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's the guys working in the company teaching the guys in the company.
Interesting.
That's who they're listening to. They're not going to listen to me. They're going to listen to you way better than they're going to listen to me in there, right?
Oh, I think you do a wonderful job, though, Tracy. Especially,
Thank you, Gabe.
Yeah, well, yeah. Listen to that story you just told about everyone staying after and wanting to hear you talk.
Oh, man, I cried when I got into my vehicle, just like the girl I am. I was like, oh, my heart was so full.
Yeah, that would be so powerful.
Yeah.
So, what advice would you like to give individuals who might feel hesitant to speak up about their mental health struggles?
Be brave. It takes bravery and courage to speak up. Oh, it makes me teary-eyed because it does. Those are the brave people. And I'm not saying there's no bravery in working through something by yourself. There's incredible bravery in that. But sharing and opening the door for other people to share, I think most people, when we experience a mental health struggle, or we experience a decline in our mental health, we lose that hope and optimism that things can change. And we think it's always going to be like this, and that we're alone, and that nobody understands, nobody's been through it. And not by minimizing, but other people have. They've been there, they've walked there, they've survived. We need those people talking about it so we can help the people who are feeling really isolated.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to break that stigma.
We need people like Gabe starting conversations.
Starting conversations. And that's what this podcast is all about, is like someone to hear a story or listen to a program or listen to a story about a program and maybe get help, or maybe it will save their life. And that's all I care about. I don't care about numbers or views or shares or likes or nothing. I just want someone to get help. And that if it's more than one, then lovely. I just love spreading the positive message, and even if it's a negative story, or not that a story is negative, it's just it's tough. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to talk about. People are coming on this podcast and talking about their stories for everyone to hear, and some of those people are people that don't talk to even their friends, but they just want to share and have someone relate. I really think this program is powerful, and we need to spread the word about it. So I'm really happy you came on.
Can I just take you with me to everywhere I go and speak, and you could be like my little cheerleader?
Oh, yeah.
I love that, is that just, you're familiar with the program and you are passionate about it. And it's catchy, I think. Yeah. Thank you, Gabe.
Oh, anytime. If someone wanted to get involved or support Tough Enough to talk about it, how can they connect with you?
Don't call my office because I don't know how to work my phone, because it's a internet digital phone. But also don't tell anybody I work with that I don't know how to use my phone. Maybe I just doubted myself on my phone. But email definitely is Tough Enough, so TOUGHENOUGH at SP, like suicide prevention -RC resourcecenter.ca, or they could just go to toughenough2talk.org.
Well, I really appreciate all your input and all your information and your kind words today, Tracy. Your insights remind us how important it is to break the silence around mental health. And thank you for sharing your story and passion with us. And for our listeners, if anyone is in need of immediate assistance, please call 911. And if you need to talk to someone, 988 is an amazing resource as well. Never be ashamed to want to speak. You will be brave if you do. Thanks for watching on this episode of Hard Hats and Hard Roads.